Hello, it's Mr Spracklen here. Welcome to the Inspire to Learn Virtual School Video Archive. This is where we keep all the footage from virtual school from the last few months. And from Monday the 25th of May through to Wednesday the 3rd of June, we're going to be replaying you some of our favourite whole school assemblies. And today, we've got a real treat for you. Hello everyone and welcome back. The time is 11:20 on Monday the 13th of April 2020. It's Easter Bank Holiday Monday and it's wonderful to be here for the Prince of Wales Virtual School. We are here and live across YouTube and Facebook. Great to have lots of people joining us this morning. We have a very special guest joining us in a minute, or two very special guests actually. Before we go over to our mystery guest today, it'd be great to see if anyone's watching us. If you're watching us right now, put a comment in the comment box and let us know that you're there and that you're watching, because it's 11:20, which means it's assembly time. And always nice to know who's here and who's watching. So do just put a comment in that comment box and we can say hello to everyone that's watching. It's another nice, bright, sunshining day. We've seen lots of fantastic photos of what people have been up to already, and I'm looking forward to sharing those in today at POW later on. I hope everyone's liking my hair this morning. I spent a long time getting it all ready for you. We have got some people watching. We've got Lisa watching. Hello, Lisa. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in for our whole school assembly, where we've got some very special mystery guests this morning. First of all, I've got someone with me, actually, another mystery guest. Who have I got here? You going to say good morning?
Good morning.
This is our mad scientist, Gracie. You're going to give everyone a wave this morning, Gracie? Does everyone like Gracie's hair this morning? She's gone to a special effort this morning. It's almost as good as mine, Gracie. What do you think? Which one would you prefer? Not sure. No, I think the truth is you prefer mine, but didn't want to say. Is that right? Looking cool though. Going to give everyone a wave this morning. Fantastic. Wonderful to see everyone joining us. Good morning to Arlo, to Esme, and to Dylan who are watching. Hi guys, thank you very much for tuning in. They say nice hairdo, Mr. Spracklen. Well, thank you very much. I thought you would enjoy my hair. Now, this morning we have a very special mystery guest. Isn't that right, Professor Gracie?
Yeah.
Is it you? No, you're not the very special guest. In fact, the very special guests, I should say, not guests. Oh, hang on a second. Got someone else saying that they like my hair. Arlo saying that he likes my hair. The very special guests are joining us now, and they are Hannah and Dave. Good morning, Hannah and Dave.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Prince of Wales. Hope you're all feeling well. I love your hair.
I thought so. I've gone to a lot of effort, a lot of conditioning.
Yeah, you have.
Dave, I think you should be sporting this look next time.
I should do, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah. Ship David to you, Dave. Now, guys, tell us who you are and why you're here today and what you're going to share with us.
Well, we are Hannah and Dave from Wildlife, and we thought that you might quite like to meet some of our fantastic pets and creatures that we like to go around and show everybody and introduce and learn a little bit about. So we have our first animal here, who is a lovely royal python called Effie.
See if I can get a head round to show you that. Oh, come on, Effie. Wow. There she is. Well, she's a bit wiggly this morning. She's just woken up. So here we go. There she is for everybody to see. There we go.
So Effie's the smallest of all the python species, and she comes from sub-Saharan Africa. So if you imagine the triangle shape of Africa, she comes pretty much from a band across the middle of there, and these are her natural colors. So these are the colors that you'd actually find them in the wild. There are lots and lots of different colored royal pythons out there, but we quite like the normals, as we put it. They get their name royal python because a lot of the tribal rulers in that area actually wear them as jewelry, and you'll see them sporting them around their wrists while they're still alive. and they'll curl up there quite happily all day. They're also known as ball pythons around the world because they like nothing better than to curl up in a ball and do absolutely nothing.
They're very lazy.
Yeah. In fact, Effie has 2 hides in her enclosure, and they're known as rocks that eat occasionally in the reptile keeping hobby, as they'll either be under one rock or the other rock, bless them. They don't do an awful lot.
How long is she, Jasper? Well, she's approximately about 3.5 feet long. So I'll see if I can stretch her out a little bit for you. So I have her head just, well, there she is. I have her head just here. And there we go.
Ooh,
there we go. That is how long she is, and she won't grow any bigger than this at all. She is fully grown now. So they are the smallest of the python species, with the largest one being the reticulated python, which can get to how big?
About 25 feet long.
25 foot long. So that is an enormous snake.
Professor Gracie had a question here. What was your question?
How heavy is she?
How heavy is she? Gosh, well, she is last weigh-in, because we weigh them every couple of weeks to make sure that they're nice and healthy. And her last weigh-in was about 1,216 grams. That's it, 1,216 grams.
Ah.
Yes, so you'll have to.
Lovely.
She is absolutely beautiful. Now, these guys have a wonderful, you might not be able to see, but they have a beautiful sheen all over their skin there. And that just shows how healthy they are. And they get that sheen from the oils in the animals which they eat. So these are carnivores, and they are hunters, and they're constrictors. So they will squeeze their prey and grab hold of it with these razor sharp. She has 100 rear-facing teeth in there. And what she'll do is she'll ambush and grab hold of her prey and wrap the coils all the way around and squeeze really, really tightly and turn you into a little bit of a sausage, which doesn't sound very tasty, but they absolutely love rats. And I can't imagine. Oh, does she bite? No, she doesn't. She could do if she wanted to, but she is very, very docile and very tame. And royal pythons are known to be non-biters, really. They prefer to curl themselves up into a ball and pretend all the danger's gone away. She's very docile. She's lovely. And all these patterns that you can see on her are totally unique to the snake, a little bit like our fingerprints. You'll never ever see 2 snakes alike, which is quite amazing if you think about all the snakes in the world. There we go. And she's a little bit of a chunky monkey because she ate, was it last week she had a feed?
She did, yes. She had a lovely big rat, about that sort of size, from the nose to their bottom, not including their tail. So quite a lot of rat for a snake of her size. In fact, a snake can eat something up to 1.5 times the size of the fattest part of its body. So you imagine Effie here, she's quite chunky. She could probably eat something up to the size of a small guinea pig, which sounds a little bit gruesome, but don't worry, we don't ever feed her guinea pigs. We like them. We've got some as pets ourselves.
So how do you think she can eat a guinea pig with that teeny, teeny, tiny head of theirs? Has anybody got any ideas?
What do you think, Professor? What do you think? What do you think?
Open their mouth really, really wide.
You're quite right. They do. Their skin is like elastic, and their jaws are separated into 3 parts. So our jaw, if we open and close our mouth, it's only the bottom part of our jaw which actually moves. The top part of our jaw stays still. Now, these guys, their jaw moves up and down, but also like that at the bottom. So they can open their mouths really, really, really wide. They don't dislocate their jaws. They're all on tendons and ligaments, and their skin stretches really wide. And you can actually see it going all the way down into their tummy, where it sits there for about a week. And then they do a really big poo. And he cleans them out.
I get all the really good jobs.
Yeah, he gets all the good jobs. How old is she from Lisa? Well, all our animals are rescues or rehomes, so we don't really know exactly how old she is. We think she's approximately 5 years old.
Probably.
About 5 years old. And they can live up to 20 to 30 years old. So that is really quite a long time for such a little creature. And these guys, they lay eggs, and they can have anything between 3 and 8 eggs at any one time. And the mother incubates them, which means she'll sit on them a bit like a hen, and she'll wrap her body all the way around them and keep them nice and warm. And when the snakes are born, they're only about that big. So they're teeny tiny. And it takes them about 2 years to get to full size. And she's there we go. She's having a bit of a slide around. I'll bring her a little bit closer so you can all see her a little bit better, if she will do. Which way are you going? Here we go. There we are. See if we can get her to see her face a little bit better. There we go. No, Effie, that way. There we go. Isn't she pretty? Oh, no, this way. There we go. Isn't she pretty? And she's flicking her tongue. You might be able to see her tongue flicking out. There we go. Now she's tasting the air. Now those taste buds are so sensitive that they can tell identical twins apart, which is very, very, very clever. And they're thought for 2 reasons. One is to detect different vibrations in the air, but also to taste. And what they'll do is, if Dave was my rat, there, Dave's now my rat. So, pretend to be the rat. That's right. You're the rat now. That's brilliant. Well done. So if Dave was my rat and I was stood facing you guys, I would be able to taste on this side of my tongue that it was the taste of the rat was slightly stronger. So I'd be able to turn my body until I could taste the same on both sides of my tongue. And at that point, I would know in which direction to go before I grabbed him and ate him. There. That's very cool, isn't it? What do you all think of Effie? Is she really cute?
Definitely.
Very cute.
Very much so.
She is very cute, isn't she? Shall we show you something else now? I've got another creature. There we go. Let's put you back in, Effie.
So this here, don't tell Effie, but she's one of my favourites. This is Indy, who is a Western Herman's tortoise. Now, we're quite lucky with Indy because we know exactly how old she is. She's 4 years old, and she is the pet of our 8-year-old son, Jonties, and he looks after her for us with a little bit of help, of course. Now, Indy comes from the western half of the Mediterranean Sea, in countries like Italy and Sicily and Sardinia, all around that part of the world, where they live near the coastline. Now, once upon a time, they didn't live near the coast. They liked to live in the big Mediterranean oak forests, where they would eat all the little shoots and the leaves and things like that. But unfortunately, we as people found out that oak was really good building material. So we went round and we chopped down a lot of the trees, not us personally, obviously, but we chopped a lot of the trees down to make our furniture and our buildings and all those sorts of things, which meant these little guys had to move off somewhere else. And they headed off towards the beach, because if you don't like it in the forest, well, the beach is the next best place to go. So that's where they went off down towards. And they discovered that there wasn't a lot to eat on the beach, not for a tortoise anyway. So they moved into that sort of scrubby area where they go. Oh, and we've just had Barney, our dog, come to visit us.
Just say hi to Barney.
Crash the party.
Hello, Barney.
I just pop him in the room.
Oh dear. How embarrassing. But Indy here, you know, so she eats on a lot of weeds and things now, and her favourite food are dandelions, especially the yellow flowers, which we're getting at this time of the year. They're a real treat for her. And the rest of the time, she likes baby leaf salad and all those sorts of things. Now, she's not fully grown yet. She's about 10 centimetres long in her shell at the moment, from one end to the other. She will be eventually around 30 centimetres long. But that will take her, and the same as all of you guys, around 15 years to get to that size. And then she'll live for around 85 to 90 years. So she'll live for a really, really, really long time.
Does she hibernate?
Does she hibernate? Well, that's a really good question. Yes, tortoises do hibernate, but at the moment we don't hibernate Indy. And the reason for that is she's a little bit too young. Hibernation can be quite dangerous for a young tortoise. So we deliberately don't do it. But what we do instead is we slow her day down. So instead of having all her lights and her heating on for around 12 to 14 hours a day, we reduce that down to about 6 hours, and we don't feed her quite as much. But now, of course, she's out and she's back up and she's running at sort of full speed again. So she's got her lights and her heat on all the time for her. And every now and again, she does pop out into the garden for a little walk around and have a little explore out there. But we've got to keep a really good eye on her. And the reason for that is not just because of her size. One thing that she's very, very good at is escaping. She's a fantastic climber. She can climb over a fence without any problems at all. She's a brilliant digger. In fact, she can dig a hole probably around 1 meter deep if you give her long enough. And she can walk about 5 miles in one day. So it's quite a long way for a little tortoise to walk. If you imagine from your school, that's all the way across Dorchester and out the other side a little bit. So it's a long, long way for her to go. So they do go missing very quickly. But she is a lovely little creature, and she's just got some nice lettuce brought into her from John T, so that she can have a little snack. There's his thumb there, while she has a little rest. So she is lovely. We do like her quite a lot.
There we go.
There we go.
Who
She's amazing.
else shall we show you now? Oh, let me have a look. Yeah, you can get Phoenix. Right, I think this is Freya. Oops, come on, Freya. Here we go. Good girl.
Can you hold it?
Now, Freya is a beautiful little, oh, she's just licked me. Beautiful little leopard gecko there. I'm not sure if you can just see her. There we go. There we go. Can you just see her there?
Wow, she's beautiful.
She's stunning, isn't she? And if I just turn her around there, you'll be able to see. Oop, she's a bit wiggly again. There you go. Really big, fat tail there. Now, these are desert dwellers. And that big, fat tail is basically where they store fat, a bit like a camel on their humps. And the reason why they do that is where they live, they don't necessarily know when they're going to get their next meal from. So what they'll do is they will store all of the nutrients from the animals which they eat in that tail. And in times where they don't have much food, then they will be able to absorb it. A little bit like a camel and the camel's hump there. Now, these are insectivores, so you've probably heard of carnivore, herbivore, omnivore. But in that, there's so many different classifications. And she is an insectivore, so she only eats insects. So things like crickets and locusts and wood lice and worms and things like that. Now, you might be able to see that, unfortunately, she has a little bit of a, no, you might not be able to see it, but she has a little bit of a poorly eye. And unfortunately, when we first got hold of her, she hadn't been really well looked after. So she's got a few toes missing on her feet. And she also has a poorly eye, which means we basically have to hand feed her now so she can see her food. Now, there's lots of different types of species of gecko, and they can all drop their tails. So if they're startled or scared, and it doesn't hurt them, but it just allows them enough time to get away from any predators, because the tail will keep twitching, and which will hopefully distract the predator long enough to be able to allow her to escape. It's very, very clever. And these are found all over. Where are they found?
These are found through the southern areas of Asia, right the way through Afghanistan down into northern India. So they're quite widespread little creatures.
Now, a little bit of a freaky fact about these guys is when they shed in one go. And literally, they will peel their skin off and then eat it.
Ooh.
That's pretty horrible.
How many spots has she got on her skin?
How many spots has she got? Wow, that's a very, very good question. You know, I haven't counted that. I haven't counted them. I would guess well over 100 though, because she is, you can't really see in this light, unfortunately, but she is pretty spotty dotty. Now, her skin is slightly texturized and it's slightly raised. Now, the reason for that is not just camouflage, but also, again, where they live, it's very arid, so there's not many areas where they can get water. So they collect the morning dew on their skin, and it just allows, the bumps allow it to roll down into their mouth from their nose, which is very, very clever, isn't it? And these types of gecko can also blink. Now, we have another gecko. So, we have got Charlie?
No, Charlie's upstairs.
Oh, I'll go get Charlie. I will go get Charlie in a second, so you can, or you can get Charlie, will you?
Where's the
I'll come and help you. And I will show you another gecko in a minute, which can't blink. So this is a terrestrial gecko. She lives on the ground, and I'm going to go in a minute, show you an arboreal gecko. But I think we have another creature for you.
Yeah.
There we go. Leo, did you bring
Yeah.
Oh, Leo's brought Phoenix down.
Mum,
Do you want to bring Phoenix through? Our son is just going to go and get his dragon for us.
Oh, fantastic. Hannah and Dave.
Here we go. Here we go.
Hannah and Dave, when did you start keeping these types of animals? Where does your love of animal, when did it begin?
Well, I'm to blame, really. I moved to Dorset when I was 4 years old, and one of my earliest memories is my grandparents' house in Frampton, and they had this beautiful garden with an enormous pond in it, and finding newts and slow worms and everything else like that. And then I discovered David Attenborough. So watched all of his programs, and as many as I can possibly see or possibly watch, and then from there it was just a bit of a spiral, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And my passion basically came because I agreed to have a pet snake.
And from
one pet snake turned into a few pet snakes, which turned into lizards. And unfortunately, with reptile keeping, we don't necessarily refer to them as a selection of pets. We refer to them as a collection. I see we've got another question there from Flynn of how many creatures do we have all together at our house? Oh, crikey. We have, at the moment, we've got 5 different snakes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, We've got 4 lizards at the moment. We've got 3 tortoises, 2 guinea pigs, a dog, 3 small children. There's one. This is John T.
There's one. Come on.
We have and lots of other insects and things like that as well. So we have everything from tarantulas to scorpions to millipedes, cockroaches and mantises and all sorts of exciting things like that. So lots
of them. Here we go. Now we don't need to get a guinea pig, sweetheart. I'll tell you what, can you go get Charlie?
I need someone to help.
Do you want to go and help with Charlie?
I can go and
there
help
we go.
Charlie.
Oh,
there we go. Oh, this is Leo. This is
Hello, Leo.
hi.
So this is Phoenix and this is Leo's dragon.
Wow.
There we go. And there's this super, I can't actually get his tail in the shot with him in there. There we go.
Wow, what a long tail.
He has a very long tail and he is a Chinese water dragon. So he's a baby at the moment, and when he is fully grown, he will get to approximately 3 feet. No, not 3 meters.
No, 3 feet.
3 feet. Well done. 3 feet long, maybe slightly longer. And most of that will actually be his tail. So they're called water dragons because they spend. Oh, go on then. Why are they water dragons?
Because they can swim really fast, approximately 30 miles an hour.
Well, approximately, yes. They can swim very, very, very fast. And they spend a lot of their time in water. They are semi-arboreal, which means they enjoy spending a lot of their time, or the majority of their time, up in trees where they feel safe. Now, again, these are insectivores, but they also will eat small fish and shrimp and everything else like that. This massively long, powerful tail, though, is used for defense, it's used for balance, and it's also used for propelling them through the water exceptionally fast. There we go. And he's watching every single... Oh, there he spotted himself. Now, they have an...
How long have you had him? How long have...
Oh, sorry, hello?
How long have you had him for?
Oh, we've had him about a year now, haven't we? Yeah, we've had him about a year now. And they're lovely creatures, very, very, very docile. Very docile. And they can also jump exceptionally well. Very well. They jump from tree to tree to escape predators and also hunt for their food. Now, their skin is very, very slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like waxy, really, underneath them. And the reason for that is they are literally a sealed unit. Their ears are sealed as well. They can hear very, very well through vibrations. But that's to allow them to be able to push through the water very quickly and also be able to regulate their temperature. Because reptiles, they are cold-blooded, which doesn't mean to say that their blood is cold. So it is not cold as you think of cold. It means that it has no temperature whatsoever. So what they do is they have to be able to regulate their temperature. So that's why you see them out basking in the sunshine. Because if they aren't a correct temperature, that means that they aren't able to digest their food. And unfortunately, because of that, if they don't digest their food properly, unfortunately, they might become very, very poorly. So that is our little Phoenix there, and I think he's going to go spend some time in the bath now, isn't he?
Probably.
There we go. We give our animals lots of enrichment, you see, so they come out very regularly. And being a water dragon, he's got a really big vivarium upstairs which he lives in. But also he likes to go and have a swim in our bathtub. So that's going to be your job now, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Off you go, little Leo.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here we go. And now you might remember. Oops. There we go. John T is back with Charlie. Now you might remember the other little gecko that we showed you, which is Freya. And this is Charlie. And Charlie is a crested gecko. There we go. As you can see, he's perfectly happily sat on my hand at the moment. He's actually looking at the screen and looking at everybody, which means arboreal means that he spends a lot of his time, or all of his time, should I say, up in the treetops, and he lives up in the understory, and up in the tops of the jungles, climbing through and jumping through. Or does he whip his tail a lot from Jasper? Does Phoenix whip his tail, or does Charlie whip his tail? Phoenix doesn't whip his tail much anymore, and Charlie uses his tail a bit like a fifth leg to be able to grasp on here. Now, you might be able to see in a minute Charlie do his party trick. And his partner, he might not. Now, if you put your hand there, John T, there. As I was saying, he's arboreal, and he spends a lot of his time jumping through. I don't know if he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Jumping through the trees. There we go. Did you see him jump?
Wow.
Jumping through the trees to be able to find his food and also escape predators. Now, a little bit like Spider-Man here, he has little tiny hairs called setae on his feet, which allows him to be able to hold on to pretty much any surface. Oh! Okay.
Jumped on the screen.
Not sure what's happened there. Let's move you back over. Charlie just jumped onto the computer.
Yeah.
And his favourite food, so he'll eat berries, he will eat nectar, he will eat small insects, and he's got a very, very, very long tongue, so he can probe into flowers to get all the nutrients out of there. Now, this little gecko can also drop his tail, but they're a little bit more reluctant to, because unlike the geckos we showed you earlier, he doesn't grow his tail back, sadly. So they really, really don't like doing it. There we go. What do you all think of him? He's gorgeous, isn't he?
He's fab.
Very, very pretty. There we go. Now, let's put him back upstairs a second. I'll put Charlie back upstairs while you go and do this one.
Excellent. Yeah, well, they say to never meddle in the affairs of dragons, because to them you are crunchy and taste good with ketchup. But we do like to play with dragons. You've just seen Phoenix. And this is our other little dragon, who's called Elliot. And Elliot's a bearded dragon. And he comes all the way from Central Australia, or at least he would do if he was wild. He was born. Oh, here's Andrew, who's our third little boy. Well, not so little. And he's Elliot's looker after. He likes to look after him and keep an eye on him. So Elliot here from Central Australia. He's fully grown now, and we're again lucky with Elliot. We know that he's 6 years old, and the reason that we know that is because he was rehomed to us from a previous family who unfortunately couldn't keep him anymore. So they'd had him from young, and we brought him up. Now, Elliot's a bit of a funny one, really. He actually has 3 eyes. He has his 2 normal eyes, his bright orange ones. If I come a bit closer and twiddle him round, you can see there. Wow. It's not very good on this camera, but very, very brightly oranged. And those eyes are better than ours. We have 3 color receptors in our eyes that help us see all of the colors that we can see. Elliot actually has 4, which means he can see even more colors than us. And they actually say that in a rainbow, there's around 1 million different colors. We can only see 7. Elliot can see around 7,000 of them. So much, much better than ours. And then on the very top of his head, which you probably won't see, unfortunately, on camera, but he has a 3rd eye. And that eye is for detecting light and dark. And he uses that to tell when it's getting light in the morning, when it's getting dark at night, but also if there are any predators flying over the top. Because a thing that likes to eat these are big birds of prey. So if Elliot was to detect a shadow over the top of his head, he would realize it was there, get a bit scared, squish himself down into the sand, a bit like a pancake, and use this fantastic coloration on his body and texture on his body to hide himself away. But if that threat was a little bit closer, well, he needs to defend himself slightly differently. And what he does is he will swallow air. Now, if we as humans swallow air, we just end up burping, which isn't very good. But if these guys swallow air, they make themselves big and round and nice and fat and chunky, and they push all of these sharp spikes out to make themselves look big and sharp, spiky and scary. They might even open their mouths a little bit and show you their teeny tiny little teeth to make themselves look scary. And the other thing that they'll do is puff up this really big beard here, and they'll turn it jet black. It will be as black as my t-shirt, and that's a sure sign that they're really angry, really upset with you, and they don't want to play anymore. They can run really fast as well, and they'll run at about 9 miles an hour, which for a little lizard is quite fast. Now, he eats lots of different things. He's a bit like us. He should eat, or humans eat, a mixture of things. So we eat some meats, we eat some vegetables and plant-based materials. So Elliot here will eat things like crickets, cockroaches, locusts, other small insects, maybe even a small mouse. And he should also eat a certain amount of plant-based material, like salad and vegetables and fruits and things like that. But unfortunately, Elliot's a little bit naughty. He doesn't like his salad. He does rather like a strawberry, but when he eats strawberries, he does look like he's put lipstick on, because he gets it all over his face and it goes everywhere. So he's a bit of a messy eater, really. But he's lovely all the same.
Guys, can I thank you so much for joining us for our assembly this morning? It's been absolutely brilliant. We've learned so much, and we really appreciate your time and your whole family's time. It's been great to see the boys as well.
You're very welcome.
All our fantastic animals. We very much look forward to welcoming you into school when we're back. You'll have to come and visit us.
By all means, we'd love to.
We would love to. Thank you very much for inviting us. We had a great time.
Thank you so much to everyone who's joined in watching us. We look forward to seeing you again. We'll be back at 4 o'clock with our Today at PAL programme. And all that's left is to say goodbye to Hannah and Dave and the family there. Take care, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you all very soon. Thank you again. Take care now.